the field thing. So I felt like we understood each other's rhythm, you know, and what ideally we was all trying to.
Because what happened out there wasn't supposed to happen. Not this fast. Not this clear. Not like this. And if you're a Panthers fan right now, you've got every reason to wonder, did we get it wrong? Because one franchise just found their future, and the other might have just watched theirs slip through their fingers.
Up to par? No, I don't feel like I did. But overall, the main goal was to win. And that's honestly what we did.
No one, literally no one expected this. Shedeur Sanders wasn't supposed to be the star. All eyes were on Bryce Young, the former #1 overall pick. But when the lights came on, it was Sanders, a 5th rounder who looked like he'd been playing Sundays for years. In his very first NFL outing, Shedeur walked in like it was just another day and torched the Panthers defense with absolute ease. 14 of 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. And zero fear. He looked poised, confident, sharp. Meanwhile, Young played it safe, too safe. He completed 4 passes for 58 yards and checked it down more often than not. And this wasn't just about stats. You could feel the shift. The energy was different when Sanders was on that field. The Browns' sideline lit up. LeBron James was nodding. Analysts were staring like, wait, this kid did what?
Extremely impressed. Shedeur Sanders was comfortable and confident. You saw him stand in the pocket and take hits and deliver strikes. Some of the throws that...
The unthinkable had happened. A rookie buried in the 5th round just rewrote the early season narrative in a single night. And across the league, every scout who doubted him, they're scrambling to explain how they missed what the world just witnessed. Publicly, the Panthers are saying all the right things. We believe in Bryce. It's just preseason. But behind closed doors, that's a different story altogether. According to multiple sources close to the organization, there's been quiet tension brewing since the draft. Some scouts were reportedly pushing hard for a different direction, a more dynamic quarterback. And guess whose name kept coming up? Shedeur Sanders. At the time, the idea felt too risky. Sanders was flashy, raw, and came with the weight of his father's legacy. But now, after one preseason game, front office executives are feeling the pressure. Not from social media, from inside their own building.
Y'all saying, my name is Willie B, man. Hey, he the real deal.
Real deal. That's coming from Willie.
That's coming from Willie. Hey, now how y'all feel now? How y'all feel now? No matter what he do, how you feel now? That man playing for his daddy. All you haters, if you hate Shedeur, you hate football. How can you not love that story? Deion Sanders.
Debates that were once whispers about Young's ceiling are now full-blown meetings. There's concern about his hesitation under pressure, his lack of explosiveness, and most of all, whether or not he has that it factor you can't teach. Meanwhile, they just watched Sanders walk into his debut and own the moment. No one in the Panthers organization will admit it publicly, at least not yet. But make no mistake, Carolina is second-guessing itself. And the worst part, this moment might have been avoidable. If only they'd listened to the voices in the room now saying, "We told you so." On paper, Sanders' numbers were solid. Not historic, but solid. 2 touchdowns, over 130 passing yards, a 107 quarterback rating. But the truth? The impact went way beyond the box score.
Browns' 2025 preseason debut is in the books. Cleveland, a 30-10 winner here against Carolina. It's the Browns' first preseason win, dating all the way back to Week 1 of the 2022 season. The buzz all week entering was the pro football debut of Shedeur Sanders.
What the stats don't show is how calm Shedeur looked with chaos around him. From the opening snap, he was commanding the huddle like a 10-year veteran. When the pressure came, he didn't flinch. He slid in the pocket, kept his eyes downfield, and made throws with anticipation, not reaction. That's the difference. Bryce Young technically had a clean performance. No picks, a decent completion rate. But everything felt cautious. He was playing not to lose. Sanders? He was playing to win. Then there's body language. Big-time QBs carry themselves like they've been chosen. They have that unshakable presence, that swagger that tells defenses, I'm not going anywhere. Shedeur had it from the jump. He made the difficult look routine, and the routine look special. This wasn't a rookie overwhelmed by the NFL stage. This was a quarterback quietly telling everyone, I'm built for this.
Sanders did not disappoint. All the questions surrounding him. Could he operate an NFL offense, which he didn't have to do at Colorado? Could he stay off the field? One of the most sacked quarterbacks in college football history. Shedeur sacked just twice, which equaled the number of touchdown passes he had to Caden Davis. In many ways, Shedeur Sanders exceeded the small expectations maybe this coaching staff had. Kevin Stefanski said, hey, just go out there and operate the offense. I think most would agree Shedeur Sanders did way more than that in his pro football debut. A quarterback rating of 107, those 2 touchdown passes, and most importantly, did not turn the football over. Is this going to vault Shedeur Sanders up the Browns' depth chart? Maybe not. But going into next week with 2 joint practices and a game against the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles certainly makes things interesting.
No analytics metric measures that kind of presence, but every coach and player feels it when it walks into the room. It's easy to slap a label on Shedeur Sanders and move on. That's Deion's kid. Comes with fame, attention, cameras always rolling, but that narrative misses what actually separates him from the pack. Because behind the spotlight is a quarterback deliberately building his own legacy. Take this in. Shedeur specifically asked his dad not to show up at training camp. Not because they're distant, but because he wanted to earn this moment with 0 distractions. He didn't want the media circus. He didn't want the cameras. He just wanted to work. That's not entitlement. That's maturity. While other rookies are posting highlights on social media, Shedeur's in the facility before sunrise. Teammates say he shows up at 4:35 a.m., studying, training, pulling guys with him. That's leadership most vets haven't figured out yet. Yes, he inherited the name, but he doesn't lean on it. He's betting on preparation, on discipline, on himself. That's why coaches are paying attention. That's why teammates are already backing him. And that's why front offices around the NFL, even the ones who passed on him, are beginning to realize he's not just Deion's son. He might be the future of someone's franchise. There was one moment that said more about Shedeur Sanders than any stat ever could. 4th and 1. Most rookies freeze here. They take the safe route, hand the ball off, throw a quick slant, hope for the best. But not Shedeur. He looked at a stacked box, emptied the backfield, and made the defense guess. A gutsy move that takes real nerve. They didn't convert, but that's not the point. The audacity to even attempt to play like that in your very first NFL appearance? That's rare air. That's a mindset most quarterbacks develop over years. Sanders showed it in a matter of minutes. He wasn't trying to protect a highlight reel. He was trying to lead. And in that moment, fans, coaches, and even analysts saw the shift. This kid doesn't want to just run the offense. He wants to own it. And that's where the difference lies. Bryce Young played like someone trying not to make a mistake. Sanders played like someone trying to make a statement. And whether it converted or not, one thing became crystal clear. After that drive, he's not interested in managing games. He's here to take over them. Publicly, the Panthers are still smiling. They'll say it's early, that Bryce Young is still developing, that everything is on schedule. But behind that tight-lipped PR front, there's a quiet storm brewing, and it's growing louder by the day. Because Panthers fans saw what everyone else did, and they're not buying the excuses anymore. Young was drafted to be the guy, not just good, elite, a franchise savior. But his performance, even in limited preseason snaps, didn't silence the doubts. It magnified them. He still looks cautious under pressure, like he's overthinking every read, every throw. That same hesitation that got him benched early last season, it's still lingering. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is already doing what Young hasn't, forcing defenses to respect him. He's taking shots, moving the chains, igniting the crowd. He's fearless. And for Carolina, that contrast is now impossible to ignore. some fans are starting to ask the uncomfortable question. Are we watching another early draft bust unfold in real time? And what makes it worse? Shedeur wasn't some can't-miss first-round prospect. He was sitting there in the 5th round, and they passed. Now, the regret is starting to feel very real. When the Browns selected Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, they weren't chasing headlines. It was a calculated move, a developmental project, someone to sit, learn, and grow behind the vets. That plan lasted exactly 1 preseason game, because after what Shedeur just did on the field, the word project no longer fits. Reports out of Browns camp say he's been turning heads since day 1, not just with throws, but with how he prepares. This isn't some talented kid coasting on natural ability. He's studying film at 5 a.m., running drills when no one's watching, and rallying teammates without saying a word. Coaches are noticing. Veterans are impressed. The vibe around him is already different. And now, with Kenny Pickett battling hamstring issues and Joe Flacco firmly in the twilight of his career, that so-called developmental QB suddenly has a real shot at meaningful playing time. The Browns didn't plan for Sanders to rise this fast, but that's the thing with great players. They force your hand. And if he keeps building like this, Cleveland might have done something most franchises only dream about: accidentally draft their future franchise quarterback. The NFL never forgets draft mistakes, and right now, Carolina is staring directly into one. Choosing a quarterback at number 1 overall is the kind of decision that defines a decade, good or bad. And with every snap Shedeur Sanders takes in Cleveland, that decision is looking more and more like a miss the Panthers might never recover from. It's not just that Sanders is performing, it's how he's doing it. The poise, the arm talent, the leadership, all the intangibles that don't show up in combine stats, he has them. And teams that passed on him, especially Carolina, they're already feeling that sting. Bryce Young is far from finished, but the clock is ticking louder now. When you invest a top pick, you're not just hoping for progress. You're expecting dominance. And so far, Sanders is doing what Young hasn't. He's changing games. Front offices don't like to admit regret, but behind closed doors, there's already one question keeping Carolina executives up at night. What if we got it dead wrong? Because sometimes it only takes one preseason game to realize you didn't pass on a prospect. You passed on a problem solver. This wasn't just a hot preseason take. What we witnessed was the start of 2 storylines heading in opposite directions. The Browns took a swing in the 5th round, and it might end up being one of the smartest moves of the entire draft. Shedeur Sanders is already proving he's not just NFL ready. He's potentially NFL special. And if he keeps ascending the way he started, Cleveland won't just have a new QB. They'll have a new identity. Meanwhile, in Carolina, things aren't so clear. They've invested everything in Bryce Young: time, money, and belief. But results don't care about belief. And right now, the uncomfortable truth is that a player taken 140 picks later is outperforming him on every level. Panthers fans are frustrated. Browns fans are suddenly hopeful. And the rest of the league? They're watching this unfold with curiosity and a little concern. Because when a 5th-round rookie walks in and looks like a franchise cornerstone, it's not just preseason anymore.